This podcast is brought to you by Infinite Resources, a local staffing agency connecting diverse job candidates in central Iowa companies.
Amplified.
Welcome back to Black and Privileged in America podcast, power, love, and money conversations relevant to Black thriving, supported by Infinite Resources, y'all. I'm your host, Abena. It's so good to be back for season 5. I am welcoming today Dwana Bradley, the one and only, an inspiring force as the publisher and editor-in-chief of Iowa Urban Media, which produces Urban Experience magazine, general chairperson of the Iowa Juneteenth observance, podcast host of This Is Not My Show, and CEO of Bradley Consulting. Dwana is celebrating a decade of media and community impact, probably longer than that. I'm honored to have you join me today, Dwana.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
So, this is the beginning of my season 5, so I'm happy that you're helping us launch again. So, how are you? What are you doing? What's good? Tell me what's good.
It's a little bit of everything. I'm rested, I think. That's the greatest thing that I am doing. I've been working on me and not trying to be out there where everyone wants to put you. And so it's been really great being at a place of peace, at a place of comfort, and really in charge of my own life.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Now you're talking about some big ideas. First of all, rest.
Yes.
What is rest? Girl, listen, I don't even know what that is anymore. I should know. What is rest? What does that mean and look like for you?
So rest is Sabbath to me. So I started to read this book about Sabbath and the importance of it. And I consider myself a Jesus follower. Everyone knows I am strong in my faith. And when God created the heavens and the earth, he took a day of rest. So if it was a part of creation, it must be important for me. And so I had to really shift through what did that look like for me. So every Wednesday is my day of rest. It's the day that I choose, no meetings. If I can at all help it, there are times that changes, but for the most part, people know if they ask me to be a part of something on a Wednesday, I'm going to decline respectfully, because I have to have myself together. I have to give myself it. And as many things as I do, people say, well, how do you manage to make it happen? I can't afford not to make it happen. My life depends on it. And that's what I tell myself. If I don't rest, I won't be here long. If I do rest, I've got a chance at some longevity in life.
Okay. There is a saying that rest is resistance, especially now today with all of the stuff that we've been dealing with in our country and the social climate, political climate for the last 5 years, maybe the last decade, maybe since Urban Experience magazine has been around, this constant tension on many different fronts. Do you feel like your resting period is resisting that tension?
Yeah, I believe that we, people in general, can be very reactive. We react to everything, the latest thing someone says, our administrations, the governor, the president, the whomever. We react so strongly. I don't have that kind of energy to give, because then I'd be telling them they had some sort of power over me, and they don't. So I have to resist the noise, the social media, the news stories.
The doggone social media.
Yeah. It's just the things people put so much misinformation out there. It's very easy to be enticed and give your energy to all of it. I just have to make a conscious effort for myself. If it's what you do, God bless you. But for me, it's something that I just can't entertain in my spirit. I need my peace, and I protect it quite a bit.
So I want to move forward a little bit. Thank you for sharing that, because I think that rest is going to, you helping me already. Yeah. Thank you. I need to lay down. I need to sit down somewhere. But moving forward, you're celebrating 10 years with Iowa Urban Media, and more specifically with Urban Experience magazine. So tell me about this 10-year milestone and where the magazine began and where you are now.
Yeah, so this was a thing that I never wanted to do. I put that out there. Let me be clear. Y'all know me. I'm very transparent. I didn't want to do it. I watched my dad as a young child. He had the Communicator newspaper, largest publication this side of the Mississippi. Before, this is pre-Jonathan Narcissus. So he had the publication. And I remember being 8 and 9 years old watching him wake us up in the middle of the night.
That's dedication.
Yeah, so that he could get the publication printed. We didn't have the technology, that we do now. So they're literally, getting the little tape stuff to spray the back of it, lay the publication out. I specifically remember that. And watching him do that, I was like, I didn't understand the importance of it. It just looked like that's what my dad does. So we're with it. Move forward to the fall of 2014, really towards the end of the year, the last quarter of the year. We had some tragic things happen with my kids, and they were dealing with some things. And I found myself at that time really not satisfied with media, especially the way that it portrayed people that look like you and I. It just seemed to bug me that the story was, what was the shooting that happened, the robbery. It just got to be frustrating to me. And I found myself complaining. And as I complain, I normally complain to family. They're the safest people to complain to. And so my dad just challenged me to what if you did a magazine? And I just thought, you've got to be kidding me. I'm a teacher right now, single mom.
So you're an educator by trade. That's your vocation.
It is who I am. Yeah. Education is my everything. And so I'm teaching for Des Moines Public Schools at the time when he tells me, let's do this magazine. And I'm thinking, you have got to be crazy. But I'm that one child out of the two, love my siblings, but they know what I'm saying. I'm the one that if you say, let's do it, I'm the one that's going to, especially with my dad, because I'm a daddy's girl. So I'm going to be like, yeah, I'm going to do this. And that's end up what happening is me, my sister, my dad, we talked about it. We funneled names, Des Moines Urban Experience, and we started this publication. My dad was putting it together through Publisher. I laugh now because we have so many other things, but we thought we were doing it with that publisher, that he was putting everything together and he was laying it out. And it really reminded me of old times when I would watch him when I was younger.
Oh, yeah.
Him lay out the publication. He's doing it now. I see the excitement in his eyes, and it really goes from there. We put out our first publication in February of 2015. And the rest is just kind of history. It has definitely morphed and changed over the years. But I'm really satisfied with the product that we've created. It's really for him.
I think this is, I know you said it's for your dad, but I feel by proxy that we're pretty lucky that it's also for us. I mean, I can tell when I'm flipping the pages of my copies of Urban Experience magazine, I see images that look like me. I see my community reflected in a positive light, and not just in a positive light, in an accurate light. So can you speak to, I mean, you alluded to, what you saw in other media, in the news, about how Black people are portrayed in stories. Can you speak to the difference between how Black people are portrayed in Urban Experience?
Yeah, you're going to see educational things for one. We're not fabricating anything, and there are media out there fabricating things, so let me just say that there are, but we're not fabricating anything. We're giving you basic information, things that impact our community. American Heart Association is going to talk to you about your heart health. Alzheimer's Association will talk to you about making sure you're, being a great caregiver and signs to look out for Alzheimer's. We've got a therapist out of Iowa City who talks about things from men who deal with porn to making sure that you're taking care of yourself. So you're going to see pictures in the publication. They look happy. They look serious. You're going to see some spirituality of, how to keep your faith, especially during times as this. And so the things that we provide are outside of the scope of the current reality of what we're dealing with. Those things I chose not to put in the publication, and even have chose that for the last 10 years because you've got everybody else that can do that. We need a space that we can look into, and it was called Urban Experience because when you look in the publication, I want you to experience something. Rather that's relief because I don't have to read about the shooting that happened, where that's rest because I found a way to take care of myself and my health, or rather it's just, I might have to take my elder to the doctor because they're showing some signs of things, or I've got what I need to help me get through the week because I'm trying to make it to church on Sunday, and I just needed to read something that bolstered me. So that's the importance, and we know that representation matters.
It does.
And people don't get it. We try to make this like it's, this racial thing, but really what it comes down to is people like to see things that look like themselves. It does something to their self-esteem, especially when they're in environments that are not always talking about them and the impact that they give to history. So I like to think we're bringing a smile to people's faces with the information we provide. There's
so much to talk about in the news. There's so much that you could possibly, you could pack this thing full of information. And by this thing for our listeners, I'm literally pointing to a copy of Urban Experience that Dwana brought with her today. How do you choose what to publish? Because I'm sure there are many, many people, organizations vying for the attention of the Black consumer or Black readership, what have you. But how do you choose who to publish or what to publish?
So I focus on arts and culture, health, education, spirituality are my big tenets. Looking to add some fashion and, taking care of your hair. But I'm really mindful, and I want to be very clear. It's very easy to get tempted to want to put what's going on in the world today.
Because it's a lot.
There's a
you
whole
mentioned
lot.
hair, and I'm thinking, I just read a headline that said that there are cancerous carcinogens, I hope I said that right,
yes,
in braiding hair.
Yes.
So what do you do?
Yeah, so I now I have conversations with people about that. So that specific topic that you're talking about, my daughter and I took a deep dive into it. I do not know the gentleman's name, but we had another Black man who came out and said, go back and look at that study, because they were talking about, maybe Consumer Report was talking about, like, if you had it in your mouth or something like that. And so he was just saying, be mindful of how they're doing it when they do things. And that's the thing with the media, right?
Yeah.
We hear these things and then we have to go fact check ourselves. Right now, I want to tell everyone to just go do some deep diving. I think you'll be okay. Okay,
so along those lines, because you're the expert here, can you give us like maybe a 3-point lesson on on how to fact check things? Because I think this will go beyond, we're kind of moving beyond Urban Experience and into media in general. Yeah. And I'm interested in, how do we fact check as average, everyday people consuming information? How do we know, or what can we do to make sure that we're getting the right information?
So I normally tend to lean toward the major news outlets out there. No matter how you feel about them, they're normally going to report the story. I can just give the big example of, everyone's got someone dead, especially you find someone, I don't know, someone said, oh my goodness, my mom may have said, this person died. I said, well, let's check that. Yeah. So what we do, we just go to Google, we do a quick search. Is so-and-so dead? And if nothing's popping up, that was a fake story. And so it's just really that simple. I look for the major news outlets. If they have it, my family laughs at me. I'm not a proponent of CNN or any of the other ones, but I always tell my parents, if it's not on CNN, then let's not believe it yet. Okay, it popped up there now. Now it's true. Okay. So I just think people have to do some basic Google searches for a lot of things, because we're really quick to find something, and then share it, and then you go back and someone's telling you that's fake news. So just do a quick Google search, look it up. And I promise you, if it's major news, it will be on the major news organizations.
That. I think you and your publication, your work, your broad work, because it goes beyond the publishing, right? Yeah. You've become a trusted voice, a voice that our community trusts in and relies on, as well as the broader community throughout Iowa. What does that feel like to have that kind of responsibility of being a trusted voice?
I don't think about it like that. And I think that's what helps me. People will say to me, power and trusted and, all of this, but I'm just doing what Jesus tells me to do. I can't put it any simpler than that. He tells me to love other people. He tells me to show them respect. His word tells me to be kind and to be patient. His word tells me to lead with integrity. It's just basic human things that we all should do with each other, I do my very best to do that with people. Tell the truth. When you mess up, say it. Be transparent. My life is a complete open book. I'm very transparent. I have good days and bad days. I talk about folks just like everybody else. Like, I'm such a normal human being. So I think those things always make me uncomfortable because I don't see myself as that. And I think it's a good thing that I don't, because we know the people who do see themselves as that, their heads are this big because they've put that in their brain. I just kind of take it in as you say it, but I push it right back out. And I don't hold on to it because all this could change tomorrow. I could
True
be the
story.
person you don't want to listen to. Mm-hmm. You could find out something in my past that would make you say, I'm over her. And so that's why I make sure to just lead with love, do the best I can. Know there's people out there that don't like me. I pray for them, and I just kind of keep it moving. But yeah, that's just where I'm at in life. And so I always appreciate the accolades, but they make me so uncomfortable, but I'm trying to embrace it.
But I'm just trying to give it to you the way we see it, because you're very humble and modest, and I appreciate that quality about you. But it's a fact. I can be fact checked. Dwana Bradley is a trusted voice for our community, and I appreciate that. I want to continue moving forward and talk about Juneteenth, which is coming up in a matter of months. If we blink, it'll be Juneteenth.
Yes, it will.
So what do you have planned for Juneteenth? And I know, like, it's a moment in our collective history that kind of embodies liberation and remembrance. And you've done a great job over the last several years, spreading the word and educating our community broadly about what Juneteenth is and what it means. So what does it mean to you? And then what do you have planned for this year?
Yeah, it took me a minute to figure out what Juneteenth meant to me. Not even knowing what Juneteenth was when I got custodianship of it. I always tell people that story. So 10 years ago, I get custodianship of Iowa Juneteenth. I had not heard of Juneteenth 10 years ago. And as I dug into it and I learned about these stories of people that, what went on in Galveston, Texas, and not knowing you're free, then finding out you're free. It just starts to be such an integral part of history. I tell people this all the time. Juneteenth history is American history. It's a part of the American story. So when we talk about wanting to tell people about American history, we have to include some of those moments that didn't make America look good. And so for me, Juneteenth is about family. It's about food. It's about celebration. It's about fellowship. And it's the things that we don't always do all the time. Mm-hmm. But to me, it's about coming together. It's not about making people feel bad or, trying to, tell people they can't be a part of. Juneteenth is for everyone. Rather you look like me or don't look like me, we want you to come downtown to Western Gateway Park. When we have our annual celebration, we want you to be at our Juneteenth Jubilee, which is known as the Community Builders Banquet, when we're, recognizing some great Iowans for the work that they've done and our essay contest winners. We want you at Science Night when we're giving people the opportunity to enjoy the Science Center for the first time. Like, you wouldn't believe there's still families who have never been to the Science Center. We provide them that opportunity to do so. We want you at movie night when we find a movie that has people like us in it just for you to watch, to enjoy, to have time. We want you to come golf because we like to golf. And so I want you to be there and be a part of that. So those are some of the activities that we're doing because we just want people to be a part of it. And so for me, Juneteenth is about a time where we can come together, and we say this all the time: remember our history, release the past, and reshape the future. Wow. That's our theme all the time for Juneteenth, and that's what we have to do, the opportunity each and every year.
I feel like Juneteenth, speaking about, our political climate in Iowa, Juneteenth would be banned. Like, the teaching of Juneteenth would be banned if we left it up to our state legislature to decide. Actually, they have decided. Yeah. So it's banned, the teaching of it, and really the full, honest teaching of American history has been banned. How do you feel about that, and how does that impact your work?
So I think it is so sad that we take the small pieces of things to create these larger laws. What happens is someone has an experience, rather it's through their constituency or it's them personally, and then because they have the power, they create these laws. I think it's sad because we make one bad apple impact everybody, right? So I'm sure there are some people that if we want to use the word weaponize or say things, or they come out and they're angry in their approach and the way that they talk about those things, I'm sure those things exist. Mm-hmm. What I find sad is that there are not a lot of things happening in the world that we don't have to hear about, right? So I have to hear in school about U.S. modern history, a class my daughter teaches, that takes you through the American story based off of individuals who may not look like us because that's the narrative that they want to be told. I'm not against the things that have happened, but when you leave out the people who make up this nation, people who look like you and I, other communities, other cultures, we do a disservice, because if we say we're the United States of America, but we only pick and choose what part of American history we want to tell, we've done the people who look like us a disservice. So what happens is you take away people's voices. Now someone will hear this who is on the whole other side and go, no, we're not taking away your voice. We're all Americans. We all didn't get treated like Americans. We still today don't all get treated like Americans. So if we're trying to shift that mindset, I am all for it. I just haven't seen a lot of proof that we are. And so we need organizations like my own to be able to come tell the story. And this is why I tell people it's so important to know your history. It's no different than being in church. You could tell me tomorrow that I can't follow Jesus and I can't read the Bible, but you can't take away what's in here. You can't take away what's right here when I decide to tell things to my family and my friends. So it's so important that we know our history so that even when they make all the laws that say we can't do something, you can still be the voice of Juneteenth. We don't need the celebration, right? Technically. If they told me tomorrow I could never have a Juneteenth celebration again, because Juneteenth should be in you, it should be in me, and it should be in everybody else, and it's our job to tell that story. We get so caught up in what is taken away from us, we forget what we have.
There you go. I love that.
We have it, but we get so concerned about what they say. Then be creative and find it in another space. Church houses, open your doors so we can have this conversation. Community center, open up your doors. Like, we don't get creative and we depend on them so much to make these rules, right? And then when they take it away, we want to fall out on the Capitol steps. I look at them and say, okay, then that means I just got to find another way to do it.
Right. And there is always another way.
There's always another way.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. You just preached to me, girl. Thank you. I received that, and I hope all of our listeners do too.
Yeah.
In our final moments together, I always ask our guests to share a book, title, author that you've read or are reading now that has moved you, challenged you, changed you. Yeah. What did you bring to suggest today?
So it's always a faith book for me. It's called Fervent. It's by Priscilla Shirer. It's a woman's battle plan for serious, specific, and strategic prayer. I'm a whole believer of prayer. I believe it changes things, from the littlest thing to when I locked my keys in the car a few days ago. You know, it's just the little things. And I say, pray, Lord, I need someone to come. Someone comes. I just believe prayer is that powerful. It's a tool that many of us, and I'm only talking to those who identify as Christians, we forget about because we get so distracted by the distractions that are currently happening. We forget about prayer. And so for me, this took me really through looking at my life and how I see prayer, and to start praying over them, praying over your family, praying over your businesses, praying over your friends, praying over your past. It was just a book that really encompassed all of that, gave me some key verses that I keep near and dear to my heart. And so it's the book that I'm already read, and I'm on to another one now.
Thank you for sharing that. I brought one too, knowing that you were coming to visit with us today and your incredible journey in media and your businesses and your spirituality. I brought Black Jesus, Black Twitter, and the First Black American President, Racialism and the Media by Venice Berry, a professor from the University of Iowa. So that's my book. And Dwana, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Stay engaged, stay curious, and keep striving. Thanks for listening. Until next time.